Hey, welcome back to another inspiring episode of People and Purpose, the podcast where we explore what happens when leadership is rooted in values, courage, and human connection in different cultures. I'm Tarja Takko, and today we have again a truly inspiring guest. Joining us today is Laura Vargas, founder of Leading with Purpose, a company dedicated to helping leaders and organizations integrate strategy with humanity. Laura brings decades of experience as a leadership coach, guiding executives and teams to align their actions with their most deeply held values. Originally from beautiful Costa Rica, she's built a career bridging cultures and growing purpose driven leadership around the world. Laura believes and exemplifies that purpose isn't just another business buzzword, but a way of being, a lens for making every decision more meaningful. I have worked with Laura for many years, and I am thrilled that she is here to share insights from her coaching work, stories from her hometown, and practical strategies for leading with heart. Laura, warm welcome to People and Purpose. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Tarja. I'm so delighted to join you on this sunny morning.
Let's start with your story and your origins. Can you share with us what experiences from your early life in Costa Rica shaped who you are today?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you. So I grew up in a wonderful paradise, and there are three things I think I would like to highlight from growing up in such paradise. And the first one is family. I grew up in a large extended family. My mom is the eldest of 12 children, and I was always surrounded by aunts, uncles, cousins, and a lot of love. And I really built a lot of confidence and appreciation for having such a big family, a nurturing family. The second, I think, big pillar in my upbringing was faith. My parents are practicing believers, and they raised us with strong faith. And they were not just practicing believers, they role modeled the teachings of our religion, and particularly that of helping others. So when my dad passed 3 years ago, for example, at his funeral, I had many people I've never met in my life join us and come and tell us about the wonderful things that our parents had done for them. And then finally, adventures in nature. That would be the third thing that really shaped my youth. I have a 13-month younger brother and also a little sister. And my brother and I were basically adventuring in nature pretty much every weekend. And it was either riding horses, riding bikes, riding waves, swimming in rivers or oceans. And it was just absolutely lovely to be able to have that natural background as your playground. So those three things, family, faith, and adventures in nature, really shaped the early days of my life.
It's wonderful to hear about your family, and of course, I've heard the wonderful stories also before. Especially, I think about your father. But maybe a question that who inspired? Do you have somebody who really inspired you in the community or in your family when you were growing up?
Yeah, I think we go back to this, Tarja. We've had conversations around inspiring people before, and I'm really fortunate that I was uh, brought up in a nucleus of three very inspiring people: my mom, my dad, and my 10-year-old younger uncle, who was part of our family from the beginning, from when I was born. And from my parents, I got this amazing love for work, and that hard work is a reward, and there's no fear to hard work. So that I got from both mom and dad. And from my uncle, I really got this love for academic work and academic discipline. And so together with this trio of wonderful people who raised me, I think I left inspired to work hard and to bring academic rigor also into my work.
Mm. Was there a moment when you first felt, let's say, the pull towards purpose-driven work?
Yeah, I think there were a couple of moments. One happened quite early in my life. I was in sixth grade, I remember. And I had a project to do for school around the economy of Costa Rica. And at that time, we had a Minister of Economics who was quite inspiring. And I read all his articles on the newspaper. And he, kind of planted this seed. And then, fast forward 1990s, and I'm in university in Massachusetts, and I met this professor. Her name is Barbara Thomas Slater, and she's now professor emeritus in the Department of Sustainability and Social Justice at my alma mater. And she was so inspiring about change, and particularly social change. So while when I met her, I was majoring in economics, meeting her basically meant immediately I added a second major to my university years. And that was, I think, those two things were really influential in me pursuing a more values-based driven career.
Wow. What personal values from your upbringing still influence the way you lead?
Perseverance, I think that comes from both of my parents and my uncle. Sharing, share the joy, share what you have, share your learning, and gratitude. I think those three are really strong values that come from my childhood.
Yeah, and I have really been experiencing all of them, and I think also this sharing is something that you really lead by example. If we then talk about purpose in practice, you have established your company already quite some years back.
Yeah.
What inspired you to found Leading with Purpose?
Tarja, I really wanted to focus where I thought I created the most value. And at that point, my corporate career was really rewarding. And I was supporting my team members, my colleagues, but I felt I could do more. And I felt I was losing a lot of energy on some of the less value adding activities that I really didn't want to spend more time with that. So I took a leap of faith, supported by my wonderful husband. And when the career was really flying, I thought, okay, now I really want to fly in the skies that I want. And that is to help people grow and shine. So 20 years ago, this November, I established Leading with Purpose. And at that point, we had one child and a second one on the way. And I have to say that both children and my husband have been instrumental in creating Leading with Purpose.
What a courageous decision you actually did. And I can't believe it's that many years ago already. Yeah. Hey, what does Leading with Purpose mean to you on a personal level?
It means leading with clarity. It means crafting a vision and understanding why it is relevant, why it matters, why you should go there. It means to stop and reflect and then act.
Can you share a project or a moment where you saw purpose really coming into life in an organization that you have worked for or helped now during the recent years?
I think the most clear examples of using purpose come to me when we are discussing priorities. And when you're able to use your purpose to understand, okay, here's the magic 25 priorities. And then we really go through the disciplined exercise to understand how do those priorities get us closer to our purpose, and really use it to prioritize and create clarity in the organization of why we're doing what we're doing and how it is getting us closer to our purpose and vision. I think that is a really practical and significant way of using purpose.
And I also know by experience working with you that you're really connecting the priorities and the work on the strategy. So everything is based on the strategy that the company has.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we gather that strategy, so that list of strategic priorities, and we think, where do we start? What goes first? Because, we really cannot do everything at the same time. And we use purpose to understand that flow. And we use purpose to keep people connected to what they're doing on a daily basis. So it really makes the strategy come to life. I think that's the connection between strategy and purpose.
Yeah. What are the biggest misconceptions about purpose in leadership today, if there are any?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I think there are two of my favorite misconceptions. One is that purpose is something the marketing or advertising agency does and beautifies in some posters that we can hang up on, maybe some screensavers and maybe a couple t-shirts and things like that. That's a terrible misconception. And then the other one is that that once that we've stated the purpose, we're done. That's it. Purpose statement is ready, checked off the to-do list. Now we do what we do. Absolutely not. So purpose is something that needs to be crafted from within, both an individual and organizational level, and it becomes our guiding light. It's a beacon that tells us why we're going where we're going. And we should be able to answer pretty much on a daily basis, how did I contribute meaningful actions in our daily work?
Yeah, so once the purpose has been crafted from within, as you said, can you share a few concrete examples that should be taken as actions once the purpose is out there, once it's crafted?
Well, I'll give you a couple of some tactical and some a little bit more strategic.
Yeah.
I would love, for example, that organizations create a stronger discipline on meetings and that we have meetings that create value. And one of the ways we can do that is, for example, if our meeting template has at the top our purpose statement, and at the end of every meeting, we ask a question from the participants on a scale of 1 to 5, how did our meeting today get us closer to our purpose? And we do that reflection systematically. Now, I'll tell you, quite a few meetings will disappear when you start seeing that we're having meetings that, have at best a 1 to 2 contribution. And we start really spending our time in co-creation on those activities that really get us closer to purpose. That's a very tiny little thing that we can do, for example, on our regular meetings. Another one that we should do is that when we have our one-on-ones with our line manager, for example, we should be asking each other, what are you proud of in terms of your contributions to purpose since the last time we spoke? How have you contributed to purpose since the last time we spoke? What is inspiring you? What has changed? And that we have significant conversations, meaningful conversations about how we are driving with purpose. That is, creating that clarity of why we're doing what we're doing. I would love to see more of that. I also would like boards of directors to be more, guiding with that purpose as well. And that would challenge the management team regularly on how what we're doing is helping us contribute to purpose.
How do you think boards are doing today with those guiding questions and really having that in focus?
I love that question. And as a matter of fact, I'm doing my PhD on a question around this exactly. And I think this would be the subject for another podcast, Tarja. I'm really looking through my PhD at how does the role of corporate governance helps in implementing regenerative leadership in organizations. And I would really like to look at that question, how are boards of directors today helping us stay focused on purpose? I can see that they're doing a good job for the most part in helping us stay focused on profit. How are we going to the next step and really thinking beyond profit? So that's the subject of my PhD and probably the subject of another podcast if you want.
Definitely, let's do another episode around that, because I will also be actually fairly soon launching an article which is focusing on profit with purpose.
Mhm.
So not moving from profit to purpose, but really linking the two. And I think board really plays a very important role in that. Yes, let's.
100% agreed. It
Yeah,
is profit and purpose, not one or the other.
yeah, yeah. Hey, let's look at then a bit more Costa Rica and also through the global lens. So Costa Rica is known globally for sustainability and human-centered values. How have those national values influenced your perspective on leadership?
Yeah. So, on the one hand, um, well, to begin with, to take a step back, they have influenced me deeply. I wake up a Costa Rican every day, even though I have lived in Finland for 25 years and I have lived in the US and worked and studied for 10 years there. Costa Rica is my soul, it's my heart, it's what's really inside me. And then to add on top of that, there are two things maybe. Costa Rica remains a developing country, and poverty and income inequality are still quite significant. So this context really creates the accountability to help and share. When you know that you come from a background where not everything looks like it looks outside my window today in Espoo, but it's quite different. So it really hones in that accountability to help and share what you have, knowledge, wealth, whatever it is. It really creates that accountability. On the other hand, Costa Rica is tiny. So Finland, for example, is 6.6 times larger than Costa Rica, and yet it is home to 6% of the world's biodiversity. So while it's a tiny, tiny, tiny country, the biodiversity that lives in our country really also creates an accountability to protect biodiversity. So coming from Costa Rica, it really adds to the global lens these ideas that you have an accountability to share and help, and that you have an accountability to protect biodiversity. These, I think, are the two things that have really influenced me deeply.
Yeah, and I think you already answered a bit this next question, but I'll ask it anyway. So, what lessons can other countries or organizations learn from Costa Rica's approach to well-being, environment, or social development?
Beautiful, beautiful question. And if we go into history a little bit, in 1949, Costa Rica abolished the army. And instead of trying to figure out how do we resource and fund army, education, and health, there was a very conscious decision that we can do 2 out of 3, but not 3 out of 3. And the choice was to fund education and health. And to me, this is significant, and it's significant in daily life. We've got to make choices. We've got to make clear priorities so that we can act and actually accomplish something. We do still have quite many opportunities for improvement, both in education and in health. However, I am very proud of that choice that our founding fathers made and really focused our wealth and our opportunities in creating a better education system and a better health care for everyone.
For everyone, I think
Yes.
that's one key thing there as well. How do you stay connected to your roots while you're working? You're based in Finland, and I know you're working really globally. How do you stay rooted?
Yeah, wonderful. So I have the privilege of working with clients in 6 continents. I still have to find a client in Antarctica, but maybe my husband can help me there. And everybody who I've ever worked with knows I'm from Costa Rica. That's basically how I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Laura from Costa Rica. So it's what I bring to the table. I bring this wealth of love for nature, for responsibility, for sharing. And it's what I bring to the table. Now, I don't think a client ever hires me because I am from Costa Rica. And I think maybe for some clients, it's a little bit scary that, she shows up in color and with maybe sometimes too much energy. But for sure, everybody knows where I come from. And by the end of our working relationship, everybody I meet will have some knowledge about Costa Rica, and most of them will have added that to their bucket list. I must go to Costa Rica if I haven't been there yet. So I'm also an ambassador of tourism, as a secondary agenda.
You truly are, but I have not yet gone to Costa Rica, but it is definitely on my bucket list. But I think, Laura, you bring such a excellent combination, sort of, I don't know, different cultures. But yes, I think you're an excellent ambassador also for Finland. How dare you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
these 2 years, I've been working a lot in Latin America. And one of the things that I love about my work in Latin America is that, well, first, I'm working in Spanish, so language of the heart. Second, that I'm bringing 25 years of working experience in Finland to Latin America. And in those programs, I've been able to help people see the bridge, the connection, and how to facilitate this cross-cultural understanding and cross-cultural working relationships. And quite a few of them have said, "Oh, I wish we would have known this, when I joined this Finnish company working in Latin America. This would have helped me in the previous project," or things like that. So I love to make the bridge not only to my own country, but also to my second home. I've been in Finland now 25 years. My children are born here. I love Finland with a tremendous passion, and I'm also a big ambassador, as you know, Tarja, of Finland.
Yeah, yeah. Let's then talk about the impact and influence of the work
Yep.
you are doing. How do you measure meaningful impact in your work?
Yeah, that's super important, and it's one of the things that drives me in my work, is to make sure that every engagement has impact. So there are a few ways of doing this. Every single workshop, for example, has at least level 1 measurement, and each development program goes into level 2 and level 3 measurements. Every program, every executive coaching program I've ever done, every leadership development program also has impact review, which is a session in which we get together with the participants of the program, the stakeholders, and we go through the question in a very meaningful way: what did we get for our investment? And we have both hard metrics and softer metrics. For example, I've heard now in impact reviews how this helped me close this deal, and it helped me advance this other deal. And so we can put some metrics even to how leading with purpose and becoming a better leader helps you as a leader in an organization get closer on your KPIs, exceed your KPIs, create new boundaries for KPIs. So that's one aspect. But we also talk a lot about success stories. And that to me is the best part. It is absolutely the best part of an impact review, when you hear these leaders talking about how they've been able to grow and shine themselves, how they've been able to make others grow and shine, and how they've even taken some of this growth and shine home. So some of them are really interested in practicing, for example, coaching at home or giving meaningful feedback at home, so that the impact goes beyond just the workplace. And so to summarize here, I absolutely want to focus on what's the impact, and to be very precise so that each engagement has a review of impact that the stakeholders can walk away and say, and answer concretely, this is what we got for our investment.
Thank you. Excellent, very concrete examples showing how important measuring the impact is. And I know you have been doing coaching for many, many years, and you've done it really successfully. Is there a story that reminds you why you do this work, or then someone who has deeply been changed by it, for example, through the coaching?
Yeah. Tarja, I think I've shared this with you before. I have the absolute best job in the world. I would really not change my job at all. It is amazing to wake up every day and know that what I'm doing today is helping somebody grow and shine.
Mm-hmm.
So I have many, many stories throughout this 20 years of leading with purpose. And I think the most impactful ones are those in which I work with somebody who has a need for development to get to the next level, and so far has had some maybe limiting beliefs or self-imposed obstacles to get there. And we figure out a way to destroy those limiting beliefs and really give permission to become your best version, and then go for it. And I have quite a few of those stories recently of people who've been able to destroy those limiting beliefs and get to the next step in their growth, to be able to shine even brighter, and to really pursue those dreams that were being held back by limiting beliefs, self-imposed obstacles, negative thinking, you name it. So I think, to me, those are the most meaningful stories, where we destroy limiting beliefs and pursue what we really want.
Yeah, I love the way you also show destroy those limiting beliefs.
Yes.
We all have them, but that's so impactful to destroy them. Can you share what are some of the most powerful partnerships you've built through Leading with Purpose?
Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for the partnerships and collaborations I've had over the last 20 years. I have been offered opportunities to lead projects with multidisciplinary teams inside client organizations. I have coached leaders in 6 continents. I've had leadership development programs in 4 continents. I've worked in English and Spanish, thrown in the occasional Finnish conversation for good measure, and always, when I'm working with a Finnish group, the disclosure that I do understand Finnish. And many of my clients have been with me since the beginning of my company, November 2005. And the partnerships that are based in this kind of trust and collaboration have been incredibly significant. Now, there are some clients that I just met last year, and we're starting to work together, and those are also very significant. I'm a one-person company. I'm one immigrant from Costa Rica working in Finland, trying to reach a global audience and to really do work on my passion of helping others to grow and shine. So it's not the automatic business plan that you say, oh yeah, that's a good one. That's going to work out really well, Laura. So every single client, every single participant I've had in these 20 years is a meaningful partnership.
Yeah, that's so important. Definitely not putting the customers in order, but really appreciating, as you said, everybody equally. Hey, we'd love to hear some personal reflections from you. What keeps you grounded and aligned with your purpose, Laura?
My family.
that was yeah, simple as that.
Clear and easy.
Clear and easy. How do you personally deal with setbacks or off-purpose moments?
Again, my family, they're wonderful reflection mirror. They're also a very good source for feedback. They are, in a sense, my family is my board of directors. They have the best interest in mind for me. And when I deviate from that interest, they are happy to provide the feedback. So I'm very grateful for that. Family is the first one, where I would go back if I have a setback. A deep breath. If something didn't go according to plan, just breathing. I'm really big into breathing exercises. Just anything from the one breath reset that I learned from Karhu Ritma, to meditation, to box breathing. I have all sorts of breathing exercises that help me just regain composure and think about how to move forward. Meditation is really important. Exercise and time in nature is another one of my go-to tools. And friends. I love my friends.
And maybe also a walk with your dog.
Yes. So that, I think doggy comes into exercise in nature, because the funny thing with having the opportunity to walk with a dog is that you have to be present. So the moment that you got a phone call and you stop seeing what the dog is doing, particularly ours, he all of a sudden will have a half-rotten rabbit in his mouth, and then you're trying to negotiate how to give up that delicious treat for this dry treat that I had in my pocket. So walking with the dog really forces you to be present so that you can pass other dogs nicely, that we can cross the street in the crossing pathway. So it's a really nice opportunity to be quite present. Now, when the children have grown up, that you could do before in the playground with the kids. But now that we don't go to the playground, and we haven't for some years, the dog gives you that opportunity to be really present when you're walking outside.
Indeed, so yes. Hey, Laura, is there a quote or belief that has helped guide your path?
Yes. I think the practice of optimism and gratitude and making active choices is something that must be in everyday life. So practice optimism, practice gratitude, and practice making active choices.
Good. If we then look forward, what's next for Leading with Purpose?
Well, what's next is the PhD. So I'm working really hard to build a new research foundation to understand this role of corporate governance triad in implementing regenerative leadership in organizations. And as I'm doing the research, I am already bringing in some part of the research as it's getting done into leadership development programs. I do believe strongly on research-based programs. So what is next is to continue doing the research, get my dissertation ready, and continue spreading this information, sharing the joy.
Yeah. What are you most hopeful about when you think about the future of leadership?
What am I most hopeful? I have the hope that we will recognize that the way that we're leading needs to change, and we must do something other than what we have been doing. What we have done so far brought us to today, and it's unsustainable to continue this way. And just like if you are thinking at a micro level, when a leader gets promoted to a new role, quite often you need to forget some of the things that got you there so that you can create space for new knowledge and new behaviors and new skills. I think and we have been for a moment, at this point in which we need to forget some of that old leadership styles, old leadership behaviors, and really advance our leadership so we can save the planet.
It's not easy to change that, and it's not easy. The leaders who have been leading the way they have always led, which is not maybe purpose-driven, how do you help those leaders to have that aha moment that yes, it really needs to change?
Well, maybe one of the things to do here is to recognize that what we're doing cannot continue. Our present has become unsustainable. So we've got to do something different. And instead of letting fear take over our systems, our cognitive systems, let's think about optimism and hope and think, what can I do better? And from a very practical perspective is to understand how my purpose helps save the planet, for example, at an individual level and at a corporate level. How are we working together to lead and save our planet? And in that way, I think it will help us reorient our leadership and really go way beyond just profits. I mean, profits are great, but it's just too small a metric. It's too shallow. It's too insignificant for what we really need to be doing. I would hope that leaders create a clarity on their own purpose and how what they're doing drives them to that purpose.
What is one action people can take this week, today, now, to begin leading with more purpose?
If you haven't done the work to create your own purpose statement, do that. I mean, we're just starting summer season in Finland. What a great opportunity to take a moment to reflect on why do I do what I do? How is this aligned to where I want to go? How is it aligned with my values? Take a moment to really think about that purpose statement, your own personal purpose statement, and think about it. How does it come? So that's the first thing, think about your purpose statement. And then the second one, how does your professional work help you in your advance your personal purpose? There should be some alignment. You will see that the people who grow and shine the most are those who have an aligned personal purpose and an aligned corporate purpose. And you also have an alignment in values. It feels wrong, it feels bad when you're trying to make yourself fit in a place where you don't. Either values are not aligned, purpose is not aligned. So I think the first action is really to think, well, what's my purpose? How has it changed? I mean, I think the first purpose statement I wrote, I was 20. It's really cute, and I have it in my files here behind me. But of course, it has evolved. It has evolved. So we need to also have this reflection often. How has my purpose evolved? Where am I today? Why am I here today? Where do I want to go? And have those moments of reflection. That's one action we can do immediately. And then the second action is to think about, how am I creating the path that takes me to purpose? This is not magic, Tarja. It's not something that happens, if stars and planets get aligned in a certain way. This is something that we can work on intentionally.
It's not magic, and what I was thinking, that it would be fantastic that if you said you've done your first purpose statement when you were 20, so it would be fantastic if people, when they are younger, when they are kids already in school, that would be something they think about and they actually do as an exercise.
Absolutely. I was invited to my son's 9th grade class years ago. So he just finished high school 2 weeks ago. And the topic of my chat was purpose. And with these 9th graders, it was quite funny because they were looking at me, like, what's this lady going on about? And the way I explained it for the young audience is that when we are going on a trip, for example, we first decide our destination. We think, okay, I'm going to the park, or I'm going to school, or I'm going to the store down the road. And then we choose our vehicle. Am I going to go on my skateboard, my scooter, my bicycle? Am I going to walk? Am I going to walk alone with my friend? And in a sense, when we do this in this order, it makes a lot of sense. Because let's say that you were going to the corner store, but you hopped on a boat, and that boat goes by the ocean, and there are no cornerstones on the ocean. So when we do the thinking first of where am I going, and then how am I going to get there, it really helps us be more purpose focused. Then we can easily go to the next level of question. Why do I want to go there? However, many times, and a lot of our Western education is responsible for this, we start thinking on, the end goal. I want to be the doctor, the engineer, the lawyer, without thinking, why do I want to do that? How is this connected to my purpose? So I would love, actually, in our education system, that we start thinking about why. What's the impact you want to make in this world? Why do you want to go there? Before we start asking the questions, what do you want to study? I think that comes much later. Should come much later in our reflection process.
Well, I'll take an action point to think about how could I do something so that it would be part of the education system. Let's see how easy that will be. Hey, we're getting to an end of the episode, and I'd love to end this with a few quick questions on sort of a human and personal note. So, what is a book or film that shaped your thinking, Laura?
Oh, books, quite many. You can see them all around me. I am a book nerd. But I'll share here a film that I think really shaped some of my thinking. And maybe it was the timing. 1989, Dead Poet Society came out. I finished high school in 1989. And also the Berlin Wall came down. So I think those three events together, concluding high school, getting ready to go to school abroad, Berlin Wall coming down in November '89, and Dead Poets Society Carpe Diem really, inspired me to go and seize the day.
You talked very nicely already and a lot about Costa Rica, but what is one value, Costa Rican value, you wish the world would embrace more?
Pura vida. And I leave that as homework. Puravida. Pura vida. That's the essence of Costa Rica. And anybody who's ever been to Costa Rica understands this, and many of them have exported it. I've already seen a boat in Espoo that has Pura vida as their name. Our summer cottage is called Pura Vida. So I leave this as a little bit of homework. What kind of Pura Vida do I want to bring to my own life?
I'll take that also as a homework.
Yep.
What's your favorite place to reconnect with purpose?
By far, nature. By far.
And last question is, if you could invite one historical leader to dinner, who would it be?
Oh, that's difficult. It's so
There are
difficult.
so many.
Yes, there are so many. But the thing is, I want to have this dinner. So, I don't like to think about theoretical dinners. So I'm thinking of a dinner that I would love to have. Like, if I won the lottery, this is what my lottery ticket would have. And it would have a dinner where I sit down with Isabel Allende, who's one of my favorite novelists, Cristiana Figueres, who's one of my favorite activists, and she has her theme is around outrage and optimism. Love the combination. And Michelle Obama. So the four of us, I think, would have a grand old time at dinner. That would be my lottery win.
Wonderful. Hey, Laura, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your insights, your heart, and such a grounded perspective on what it really means to lead with purpose. Your insights really remind us that leadership isn't about titles, it's about how we show up for ourselves and others every single day. As always, thank you everybody for tuning in to People and Purpose. Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and keep leading with purpose. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everybody, for listening in.
Thank you, Tarja. Wonderful talking to you today.
Thank you.